Hey class, Blake Hallman here for our HOS 294 Business Development Project Update. I know you've all been stressed. There are a lot of things going on, rather unprecedented, but if it makes you feel any better, I can feel your pain. It's been crazy busy here, and I've just had my hands jam-packed with all sorts of stuff. That's not mine. Anyway, why don't we talk about the project, shall we? Stay on focus. I wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page about what was expected for part 2 of the project, which I have moved to Tuesday to give you all a few more days to ask questions. But we covered it on the first day of class, so it should be pretty straightforward. Basically, all you're going to do is update a 1-year and 5-year forecast for your business. I would like you to use the Smart Draw software as well instead of meeting matrix. I've updated the assignments so you can see where to get that. I'll email it to you as well. Let's look at the software. If you remember the first day of class, we looked at the sales projections. And what I'm looking for is you to give me a 1 and a 5-year projection, 1 through 5-year projection of what your business is going to do. And we showed you how to do that with a restaurant. Very straightforward. All you do is fill in the light blue information, the number of seats, the number of table turns. We have that software for a hotel as well. And notice that you have a busy week, up top, and a slow week. So let's, like the restaurant, slow week, busy week. Both the hotel and the restaurant examples total up at the bottom as long as you put in the blue information of how many slow and busy weeks do you think you'll have. Will the upcoming events this year or next year affect your business, pro or con? Downtown Charleston is crazy during restaurant week. It's not as crazy in parts outside of Charleston. Spoleto is great for business downtown, but kills business in the rest of the area of the Tri-County area. So I'm looking for you to fill in this information, and if you don't have a hotel or a restaurant as your business idea, then we should chat in a conference call to figure out how you could best come up with this information. The yearly sales projections are what we looked at on the first day of class as well, and simply needs the light blue information to work. Notice that the $1.5 million populates from the total sales projections of the restaurant, if in fact you're using a restaurant. Otherwise, you could just put in this number. It is our projection after talking to Mr. Holman that I think we'll make $13 million. And from that number, you would then go to column B and figure out of that $13 million, how much of it would be from the sale of these items. And you can modify these items. If you do modify them, then modify them over here as well in column A. Once you have put in this information, you would then determine what your cost of sales would be for these items. And again, if the items listed on this page in column A don't meet the criteria for your business, then I can talk with you over the phone and we can come up with other numbers. Years 2 through 5 are simply estimations of an increase of 5 to 10%, nothing major. All this information populates. The beauty of it is, information is right there for you. You just need to do a little bit of research. What do we think is a reasonable expectation for sales for our business, for a slow week, for a busy week? All I'm looking for is a justification. So that brings us back to the project. What I'm looking for is that everybody has a working knowledge of this project. So keep in mind that I would expect that everybody have an assignment for the project. Somebody does the marketing part, somebody does the data mining part, somebody creates maps, somebody else will do something else. But then y'all need to be discussing this, because the last day of class, the part of the class that allows you to graduate is that we all discuss it. And again, as I mentioned, on the first day of class, I will ask the person who did this part of the project that I had a question about, nothing crazy, but a reasonable question, like I do during our presentations and the last day of class. The question I would ask would be directed to the person who did not do that. Whoever handled the marketing or the data mining, I'll ask the other person. So you need to be aware of it. Nothing tricky, and anybody that's had my presentations can confirm that my questions aren't tricky. If I have a question, I'd like for you to answer it. You'll answer it on the phone in a conference with your notes in front of you, but you need to understand the concept of data mining, the concepts of why we came up with $1.5 million in sales or $13 million in sales. One business, as I mentioned, I believe on the first day of class, told me that they expected $3.4 million in sales, or some crazy large number for a dive bar in Somerville, and I didn't think it was realistic. But the person who didn't do it justified it using the spreadsheet. And they said, Mr. Hallman, we used a spreadsheet that you talked about, and based on breakfast sales, lunch sales, dinner sales, and drunk after midnight sales, we expect to do this much money. And I looked over the numbers, and although I still think it's high, they could justify it. And if we were going to a banker, the banker wouldn't have any issue with that. So all I'm looking for is that for me to be able to say that a one-person project was done by 3 or more people, everybody was aware of it. If you're not aware of it, I would not allow you to pass the class until you were aware of it. And not to be a jerk, I would tell you simply that you're not ready because you don't know the information. Go home and study it, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions on your next phone call, so you should be aware of this project. So it's not hard. Nobody has ever said it's hard, but this is not like other projects where you can get away with doing part of the project and getting by. You need to this is the culmination of all that you've learned, this project. So you need to have it pretty much wrapped up and tight when you make the presentation to me. Not even a presentation, just answer my questions. And I'll have a few, usually no more than 2, 3, 4, or 5, nothing major. Most of the evaluations in past semesters over the phone took 5 minutes, maybe 10, but nothing major. As always, I am here. I am happy to help. All you need to do is ask. Shoot me an email, call me, and again, I'll return the number I'll return the number, and my number will be blocked, but I'll be happy to call you to talk you through any questions that you have. I hope that you're all well, in good health, and taking care of each other. Bye-bye.